Hi book lovers! Today's video I think is going to be a little bit different, and I did not expect me to do this right now, although I've been planning this video for a while, but I just can't stop thinking about this book. And I mean, you will see from the title which one I'm talking about. I'm talking about A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, which is the second book in the acotar series. And oh my goodness, ever since I read acotar, like the first book, I just can't stop thinking about this world. I read this end of last year, and my whole journey, even starting reading fantasy, was for the reason that I wanted to read acotar, but I didn't want this to be like my first fantasy book. I mean, since then I'm now fairly into fantasy and I really do enjoy my fantasy reads, but acotar is the reason why I even wanted to go into fantasy. I think that simply this will be life-altering for me. Like, I don't know if there's any other series where I think so much about the characters, and like there's so much promise in the second book that it will be one of my all-time favorites, and I'm a little bit scared that I hype myself too much up for it, but also I'm not really worried. I'm just excited to share my excitement with you guys. I had a feeling that once I start the book, I don't want to be interrupted. I hate that when I'm very invested in a book. So I wanted to have a clear schedule, but also, and I'm going to be very honest and vulnerable with you guys here now, I'm not feeling too great at the moment. I'm struggling with anxiety and my mental health, and yeah, I'm just not really feeling great. And books have always been like an escape for me, and I truly, truly love reading for that. But right now, every book that I start reading, it just doesn't really capture me. And even though I'm enjoying it, it's just not really holding my attention. I think I'm a little bit in a slump, and that is the worst, especially when I'm feeling anxious. Like, I don't want to be in a book slump. I want to get excited about the books. But especially in like the last weeks, I've just been thinking about this book, and especially the second one, and I just can't stop. Even when I'm reading something else, I'm like, no, I actually want to read ACOMAF, and I think it's just time. I already ordered the physical book, and it's supposed to come in like a week, I think, but I just can't wait. I just need to read it now, and I think I'm going to get it for my Kindle and just read it here. And I'm also kind of in my Kindle era right now. I feel like it's going to lift my spirit, and it's just what I need. Like, if there were something like a book doctor, they would recommend me ACOMAF as my medicine. I'm sure of it. Just talking about this makes me so exciting. And isn't this just great about books? Because really, like half an hour ago, I was sitting here and I didn't feel great, and I was like, come on, let's just do it. Let's put some makeup on, let's go in front of the camera and finally read this book. And I am already feeling better just saying that. So thank you for that. Thank you for watching. I hope this is not going to be too chaotic, but we're just going to read ACOMAF together. And yes, please. Guys, Ryzen just entered the scene. I feel a lot when I read, especially when I read good books, but reading acotar is just like my heart is the whole time, because I just know like this book will be everything to me. I am so, oh my god, I'm so excited to read it. I mean, I'm sure you can tell through the video, but oh my god, I'm just like seeing him entering the scene. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm here for. This is so good. I'm only 15% into the book now. There's just so much excitement for what's about to happen. I feel like the whole first book, or at least like the second half of the first book, was like the perfect setup for this book, and I am here for the payoff. Guys, I'm still not disappointed at all, and I think I'm about to meet characters that I don't even know if I heard about them in the first book. I don't think so. I think they're new characters, but because, you know, certain names I already heard of, but I have no idea. Like, I don't really know anything. Like, I have no spoilers for the story, just that I knew certain names were important, and I think I'm about to meet those certain characters, and I'm so excited. And it's kind of hard to read, but I also like to see like what scars really left, especially Farah, because we're in her POV and we see mostly her scars, but even Tamlin's scars and basically like PTSD what they have. And I think that is so great, because in a lot of fantasies that I read, like the characters always go through the most horrible things ever, but they have to be strong the whole time, and it's not a lot of time always spent on how they're suffering also mentally, and I like that we're seeing it here. It's been such a long time since I like did an all-nighter and didn't want to sleep because I wanted to read, but I don't know, I feel like with my mental health and just how excited I am about this book, it's about to happen, and I'm not mad about it. Like, I'm actually excited that a book can be that exciting to me, and to just fully embrace this, like, from time to time, I just really enjoy that. Hi friends, we have the next day, and I'm on chapter 43, and that's about 67% into the book. And I may or may not have fallen asleep eventually last night, but I definitely could have pushed through. But you know, sometimes we need sleep. I think I'm gonna finish it later today because I'm just loving this. I'm definitely gonna say that it is different to what I expected or even wanted, but I think that's more due to I haven't read that many fantasy books and also like bigger series yet. And I think sometimes, especially when there is romance in it, and I mainly read it for romance, I forget that, you know, you have a fantasy book with like a lot of other plots going on, and they can be super interesting, but I'm like, oh, wait, where's the romance? I'm here for the romance. And yeah, I get a little bit disappointed if there's not enough romance, but I don't know what is in these pages that whenever I feel that way, like just one sentence out of Ray's mouth, I'm like swooning. I'm like, okay, it's enough. I just know that also Slow Burn is definitely worth the payoff. This book is already quite long, but I'm just dreading the end. Like, I don't want this to end. But I remember from the first book, like the last maybe even like 80 or 100 pages, it felt like a completely new book. Like at the beginning you really just entered like the foregarden of this whole castle that was gonna come in terms of like a story. So I hope that we'll have the same here, and also that there will be a few like jaw-dropping moments, because I haven't had them yet. But it just, I don't know, like we spend so much time with these characters. I'm really not mad at the book. I'm loving it. And I feel like, especially for the found family aspect and to make it a bit more realistic, it's so good, because usually in fantasy books, things happen so quick and the characters go through so much hard stuff, and you sometimes see them struggle, but you're like, where's the time for them to just breathe? And I feel like this book kind of gives that. Sarah J. Maas, I'm gonna trust you with this. I'm just gonna enjoy the ride while I'm here, because I don't know, it's rare that I want to savor a book that much. Things are getting really good. Like, I want to read further, but also I'm like, I will only ever read this once. I'm also marking so many things, and I can't wait when my book is here, and I'm not gonna do it probably right away, but I'm definitely gonna reread it and tap it. I love where this is going, because we just got Lucien back and I missed him. Some things you just have to read 3 times to really let it sink in. Oh my goodness. Chapter 50, what you just revealed. I'm screaming, crying, kicking my feet. I'm loving this. I am so here for that. And oh my god, I just don't want this book to end ever. Guys, I finished A Court of Mist and Fury. I think I have the actual book here. It could be one other one, but I really hope it's... Oh, it is! Oh my god. I mean, why does this make me so happy? I finally have it in my hands. Oh my goodness. This is just absolutely everything to me. This was 1,000,000 stars. My favorite book ever, I think. It was just everything I wanted, but also what I needed. I feel so much better by the end of this video, truly. And obviously it's not just the book, but the book helped. Like, I just needed that. I read this non-stop and I was so invested in this. It also gave me like the biggest book hangover, because what am I going to do now that I read this? I'm definitely gonna reread this book. And just pop the camera a little bit further behind. I want you guys to see this in its full glory, and like right now I feel like I don't have any words left for this book. Like, it was just everything. Like, Farah already was my absolute favorite from the first book. Like, I loved her so much. She was so relatable, even though obviously nothing that happened to her ever happened to me. For a romance, I think this was just perfect, because they just built the perfect foundation for a romance. It's definitely a slow burn, and I think especially when you're someone who's a little bit newer to fantasy, you sometimes forget that there is so many other things that we're focusing on. Like, obviously we're not just focusing on the romance, because you have, you know, everything else going on. But I love that here. I don't know, I love the plot, I love everything. And I was wondering the whole time how this will end, because I remember reading the first one that the ending was just so good and so shocking, and just nothing you expected from the first half, which I really, really enjoyed. And the same with this. Like, I was the whole time waiting for the moment when my jaw's just gonna drop, because I knew Sarah J. Maas probably had something up her sleeve for the ending, and did she not? It was incredible. And one thing that I feel like is a little bit underappreciated, but I think Sarah J. Maas did such a good job, and she also did that in the first book, that these books don't really end on cliffhangers, but they still make you want to read more. Like, usually books in series, they end on really big cliffhangers, but the cliffhanger often ends up being not as dramatic as you thought, and it's like being resolved in the first few chapters. And I thought by the end, when I had like 2 chapters left, I thought that would be the case with this, but I loved the way she ended it, because I feel like that just completed the book, and the book kind of can stand on its own. Like, obviously the story goes on, but it really just opens up the next chapter on their journey. And I feel like it was exactly the same with the first book. I hope you understand what I mean. Like, I just love that what happens in here, like, this is its own book. Right at the end, we got a little different POV, and I hope that that's gonna continue in the third one. Oh my god, I can't believe that we're gonna read the third one soon. Like, I want to read it soon, but also, like, I want to cherish this so much. I mean, I devour these books. Like, I did not stop reading. I feel like I didn't explain my thoughts on the book too much, besides just that I absolutely obsessed with this. Like, this is a book where I already looked up tattoos to get for this book series, and I don't have tattoos yet. That is how much I love this book, and I don't understand how people can like read things like that and just move on and not make this like their obsession, their identity. Like, I feel like I dream of these people. I want to consume all the content. Like, you guys have no idea how much I'm waiting for the moment when I completely finish the series and I can just consume everything that is out there. I'm like, I did it a little bit, but I'm so scared of any spoilers that I really try to stay away, but it's so hard. This is just my one true love, and I'm so happy. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. It was probably one of my favorites because I got to read this book. And give this video a like, and also subscribe for more bookish content, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!